problem. And it was kind of a big one.
There was so much information in the world, and yet it was so difficult to find.
So we tried to solve that problem. But along the way, we found new ones. Like how to reply to all those emails. What's the best way to get from A to B? How do I get that look? Or how do I get rid of that? For this,
My computer just crashed.
we built that. From that came this. To stop this, we made that. The more we look, the more we find. Find a problem, build a solution.
Our goal is to make a sustainable choice an easier choice.
There's someone that can't see, can't hear, really make it accessible to as broad a set of people as possible.
Okay, get ready. We know that the starting point is uneven, but we can generate equitable outcomes and give everybody a level playing field.
It can actually just be inspired by the world around it.
Technology has the power to make everyone's lives better. It just has to be built.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to all the innovators joining us from across the whole of the Asia Pacific region, and of course to all our coaches as well, who are joining us for our very first session here on VIA 22. My name's Andy. I'm one of the leads on the Innovator Programme, and I'm going to be working with the team of coaches to guide you through this academy for the next 8 weeks. Before we start, most of the time we ask you to stay on mute in our calls, but I think we need to do a big hello all together. So I'm going to count down from 3 down to 1. I'm going to ask you just to come off mute and shout or cheer or say hello, whatever suits you. Bearing in mind that some of you might still be at work in school, so maybe not too noisy. And we're going to do that. Are we ready? In 3, 2, 1, now.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, mute yourself back up again. It is great to meet you all, and we're going to go through and do some introductions in a while and meet each other in our teams and then some of the wider group as well. But welcome on behalf of all of us to this VIA 22 Academy. My name's Andy. I'm a former innovator from MTV 16, and I now lead the team that run the programme. Just want to talk a little bit about the programme before we get started. Firstly, we've done that. Big thank you in the chat for sorting out a logo. You are the first cohort to group produce a logo, to share the design collectively in the chat, so well done. This is not an easy task to get all the people in the cohort to agree on one design and one logo, so well done on getting that logo together. I think it's almost there. But a big disclaimer just as we go through. The link to that logo, to the Canva, is in the chat. If you want to make any final changes to your profile pics, this is your sort of last chance in the next 24 hours before we pull that logo in. So just a final warning, if anyone who's not seen it, or if you're not on there yet, you have 24 hours to make your final changes before we put the logo in. But a big well done to everybody in the chat, the original designer and all the people that have adjusted and changed and adapted that logo. It really is nice to see a group effort on a logo. So well done. It's a really nice looking logo as well. So well done on that. We'll add that into our countdown. One of the things we saw in the video when we were watching that video was that video was talking about what Google does. And what Google does can really be summed up in 2 big sentences, which is it finds problems and then it builds solutions to those problems. And the Google Certified Innovator Programme is an exact mirror of that. We've already asked you to go out and find problems, and you've applied with challenges that you want to help solve that are affecting the world of education. And later on, we're going to talk about some other challenges. And now what we're going to do over the next 8 weeks to start with, and then over the next 12 months through our mentoring program, is to try and build some solutions, to try and come up with creative and innovative solutions to the challenges that you're facing in your classroom at a very small level, in your school, possibly in your region or district, or maybe in your country, or maybe even the whole world is facing. And the scale at which you attack this challenge is entirely down to you. But all the way through, we're following that same methodology that Google adopts for all of its products and services, focusing in on a problem and then building a solution that's focused around that problem and around that end user. And Les will take us into more detail about that a little bit later. The innovation journey is a bit like a roller coaster. It has ups and it has downs. We're probably on a high right now as we join the academy, but during the next 8 weeks and the next 12 months through mentorship, there's going to be lots of highs and lows. With innovation, we don't always know the journey we're going to take, much like a roller coaster. And sometimes, like an image, we're building the track as we go along, and we're pivoting and changing direction as things change. This is a journey, there are highs and lows, and to support you, we've got a great team of coaches and Googlers around to support us. So let's get on and introduce some of the other people on the call. First up, I'm going to hand over to Swan.
Thanks, Andy. Hi, everybody. My name is Swan. I look after adoption programs for the region. I've been on the education team for over 10 years. So this is actually my 8th academy, I think, 8 or 9. So I've been to a lot of academies, but I've never actually been an innovator. So, you guys are an exclusive group. So, congratulations and welcome to the community. A big hello to our coaches as well, returning innovators. And this is a really, precious community that you'll be joining. I think, once you're here, you get to meet a lot of previous innovators that have laid the foundation, before you, and done some really great work. So, my team, of which many are on the call today, they will reach out to you. So they are typically, we have adoption folks in each of our key markets, and what they do is, work on community programs and partner with innovators, trainers, yourselves to work out how we can best support, our education platform in the country. And if we just jump to the next slide, one of the things that this year that we wanted to do slightly differently that we haven't tried, so this is a bit of a pilot, is to come up with some challenges, some alternative project ideas. So some of you might already have an innovator project that you're really passionate about and that you can't wait to get started on. But for those of you that maybe are still on the fence or haven't thought of something, I want to present to you an alternative challenge. So, Andy, sorry, I realized I put animation in here, so just skip through. So, we're going to come up with 3 alternate challenges for you, and I'll just run through this in a second. So, 3 of these pillars, which are sort of the main areas that our Google for Education team, we work with ministries of education, departments of education, boards of education in, across Asia Pacific, around these 3 areas. And I'll start with the first one, right? So in the area of marginalized groups and supporting our school learners. So those of you know, we've come out, well, we haven't really come out, but at the height of the pandemic, 1.5 billion children were sort of evicted from their school and pushed into remote learning because of school closures, right? And actually, in actual fact, many of them have not returned to school. We still see challenges around whether because of pandemics or because of natural disasters, right? You guys probably read about the floods in Pakistan. We've got thousands of schools have been destroyed. Kids that have not, millions of children, that have not been able to go back to school, displaced from schools. So, first question, how might we connect young people who do not attend school to powerful, valued, and accredited learning opportunities? So this is a how might we statement, which, you guys will learn a little bit more with Les later on. The second area is around teacher well-being, and many of you who are educators, I think, can come to appreciate, the last 2 years have not been easy, not just for the children, but, definitely for the educators and the teachers. And keeping them engaged and valued and sort of, excited about the journey. So how might we reimagine teaching so that every child has a caring expert as part of their learning journey? And then the third sort of area is around equity. And this is an ongoing challenge, pandemic or no pandemic. We have, increasing gaps between sort of high income, low income, metro versus rural areas, right? Where the gap is just widening. And so, in the area, how might we reimagine resources, space, place, and time in order to reduce technology inequity for young people? So when I present to you these three, what I'll do, after this session is we'll send out a form, sort of an expression of interest. If you're interested in joining a group of other innovators, and this is just for this Innovator Academy, to put your hand up to join one of these areas that you're passionate about, and you really want to work with real life problems. So we actually have, for example, we work with Ministry of Education Pakistan to work out how do we support displaced children, now that they can't go back to school. In Indonesia, in Thailand, in multiple places, we have different challenges. So, working with the Google for Education team on some of these scale programs, if you're interested in doing so as part of your innovator project, really, we want to bring you guys together, bring the really smart people and put your heads together to solve some of these real world problems at a larger scale, right? So as Andy mentioned, if you really have a innovative project in mind that's for your school, for your district, for your state, for your country, that's fine. But if you don't, come join us on this journey. We're sort of piloting this. We want to take this sort of business school approach of putting you in teams and working out how do we solve some of these real world problems that we deal with, and getting a chance to work with the team, but also getting a chance to work with different educators in different countries as well. So I'll just leave it at that, and then I'll come back to you with that expression of interest. If you're interested, we'd love to have you on that journey. And with that, head back to Andy. Welcome, everybody.
Thanks, Juan. A really exciting opportunity there. And just to be clear, we're going to put a format in the chat a bit later on. And then you've got until this coming Sunday to decide. So we're not working on projects this week. We start our project work challenges in the call next week. So you have until Sunday to decide, do you want to stick with what you applied with, that challenge, or do you want to spin over to one of these three challenges and work with some of the team at Google on some of these really could be large scale challenges to solve. So have a think about that in your own time after the call today. Have a think about whether you want to do that, and if so, you can fill our form in and we can switch your challenge to one of these. This is the first time we've ever done this. We've ever brought challenges into the program from the team. A really exciting opportunity to work with some of the team at Google alongside them to help solve some really meaningful and pertinent challenges that are facing the world for some of those challenges right now. So Swan, thank you for bringing those to us. Let's meet some more of the team that are joining us today. Chris Day. First I'll introduce Les. Les is our design thinking skills coach who's probably been on the most Innovator Academies. She's in Toronto, which means it's very early in the morning. Good morning, Les.
Good morning, everyone. It's 2:45 in the morning here, but I'm excited to be here, and that the introduction there, I hope gave you all goosebumps like it did me, because this is the start of an awesome journey, and I'm so excited to be here along with you. I think you probably saw my introduction in the video, but I'm an educator turned full-time design thinker, I guess. I work for a company called Future Design School, and I'll be running you through the design thinking process over the next several weeks. So you'll hear lots from me, so I'll stop talking now, but I'm excited to be here with all of you.
Thanks, Les. As always, it is great to have you on the call. How many academies, Les, is this for you?
I think this is 18.
It's a lot of Innovator Academies. A lot of our countdown.
I have the great fortune of knowing a lot of innovators, so if you're working on a project and you want to connect with other innovators, reach out.
We're also joined by Christina. Christina's joining us as our lead coach today. Good afternoon, Christina.
Good afternoon, everyone. So as Andy said, I'm Christina Herzig. I'm from Sweden 19. This is my second time around supporting the Innovator Academy. And like you said, I get to help coaches coach. So I'll mostly be supporting the coaches, but I'm also here and ready to support as well.
And Christina's a little bit closer to us all, based out of Bangkok in Thailand. So let's meet some of the coaches and the coaching groups we have with us. Group 1. Anju?
Yes. Okay. Let me introduce myself. Okay. My name is Hyunjung Lee, and I'm dual certified innovator from VI21. As you see, I am the coach of Group 1. Our group is all Korean. I'm so happy to meet you all. Thank you.
Great to meet you. And let's go through and meet all the rest of the coaches and the groups. Group 2. Carlos, returning to us.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. I am loving being able to be included in this group. Again, this is my 3rd time coaching an academy. I'm super, super happy to be back. Right now, I am in a place called Ho Tram in Vietnam on holiday. So I'm feeling refreshed and ready to go. As you can see, everything is very clean behind me. I'll be coaching Group 2, who is pending a name, and we cannot wait to get started. And I just want to say that I'm just loving the diversity in this cohort. It is going to be magic. Cannot wait to get started. Thank you, Andy.
Thanks, Carlos. And as Carlos mentioned there, you are free to rename your groups. You don't have to be called Group 1, 2, 3 all the way through. But for now, let's talk to Group 3. Hi, Leslie.
Hi there. I'm Leslie Altman. I'm from Australia Down Under. And my academy, my Innovator Academy, was Sydney 19. And I'm very, very excited to be coaching the Aussie team.
Thanks, Leslie. Up next, Group 4, Sanjita.
Hi, everyone. I am Sanjita from New Delhi, India, and I'm from VIA21 APAC. So that was exactly the same time last year. I was on the other side, and I'm very envious of this new team. And I'm so happy to have these 6 superstars working with me through the next couple of weeks and the rest of the year.
Great stuff, thank you. Group number 5 is Radhika.
Hi everyone, I'm Radhika from Mumbai, also VIA 21, and I am so excited about the opportunity to coach this wonderful group of 6 people from India. Really looking forward to it.
Great, and next up, group number 6, Catherine.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine, an innovator from the amazing and creative VIA21. And I'm extremely proud and honored to be coaching Group 6 from Indonesia. And we are ready to rock and roll with all of you. Thank you.
Great stuff. Great to have you on the coaching team. Next up, Group 7, Ramsey.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ramsey. First name and second name are the same, so call me whichever one you like. I'm originally from Japan 19. I'm an innovator coach and trainer. I'm from London, England, but I am based and teach computer science, maths, and English in Japan. So I will be leading the Japan group, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Thank you.
That's Group 7, and next Group 8 with Lisa.
Hello. Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Elisa. So I'm so happy to be here. I'm an innovator from VIA21 and also a trainer. I am so happy to be able, and it's an honor for me to coach Group 8 from Malaysia.
Great. Thanks. And next up, Group 9, our furthest group out. It's our New Zealand group. Hi, Donna.
Kia ora everyone. Hi, I'm Donna Golightly from Auckland in New Zealand, and we may be a small group, but we will come through with lots of energy, lots of passion, and lots of amazing work. And we may or may not be a little bit competitive with those Aussie neighbours. So really excited to coach this group and looking forward to the journey.
I have to keep my eye on the Australian New Zealand groups, aren't I? Clearly. Group 10, Adrian.
Hi everyone, I'm Adrian Luke. I'm happy to be back, but this time as a coach. So I'm a teacher, turned full-time edtech consultant. I'm an innovator from SEA 19, batch 19, and I'm coaching a team of passionate and inspiring educators from the Philippines.
Great. And our next group, JJ.
Hello everyone, my name is Jung Kim. You can call me JJ. I'm really excited to join as a coach here, and I'm also very excited to see the changes the new innovators will experience and the changes that you will bring to the world. Yeah, thank you guys. Good luck.
Thanks, JJ. Now, that's all our coach groups introduced and all our team introduced. In a minute, we're going to split into breakout rooms, but before we do, I just want to talk about what you're going to do when you get to the breakout rooms. So we're going to send you into breakout rooms with your coaches. And there's two things to do in the breakout room today. The first one is to introduce yourself. So to go around, meet each other. If you haven't been on a call before, introduce yourself. If you know each other, then feel free to also talk a little bit about your challenge. And then the other thing we're going to ask you to do is we're going to ask you to arrange yourself in pairs, because later on in the call, we're going to want you to work in pairs through an activity with Les, a design thinking activity with Les. And for that, we're going to need pairs. When you go into your call, we'll ask you to put yourself in a pair and then one of the people in the pair to create a Google Meet link for you to use later. So when you are in your breakout rooms, you can set up your pairs and you can create your Google Meet link that you're going to use later. I'm putting in our chat now a link to a spreadsheet. Feel free to click on that link now if you can, and that will let you into our spreadsheet that you can record your pairs on a bit later into the call. I will also in a second drop that into our chat as well, so you can access the spreadsheet and arrange yourself in pairs. Hopefully we're all ready to go into breakout rooms. So we will see you in approximately 25 minutes. So 25 minutes puts us at 20 past the hour for the majority of people in this call, but 25 minutes, some people are in a different time zone, but 25 minutes time, we're going to see you back in the main call. See you all shortly.
Before I hit go on opening up the rooms, if anyone is accidentally put in the wrong room, please come back to the main call and we will make sure you get to the right coaching group. Thank you very much.
Or drop a message in the main chat, in the chat, and we can sort you out if you're in the wrong place.
어서 오세요.
네. 네. 안녕하세요.
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 Hello, everyone. 드디어 모였습니다.
여기서 만나니까 더 반가워요.
야, 또 이렇게 됐네요, 다들.
네.
네, 축하합니다. 어떻게든 들어오셨습니다.
네, 감사합니다.
네. 그래서 지금부터 이제 20분 동안은 자기소개 시간이에요. 그래서 여러분들 저기 준비하신 이제 프로젝트 이제 그거 소개해 주시면 되고요. 그다음에 뭐 약간 요 다음 시간 좀 소개를 해드리면은 조금 있다가는 이제 또 그 2명씩 짝을 지어가지고 또 이것저것 또 자기 프로젝트 또 다시 한번 홍보하는 그런 시간을 가질 거고요. 그리고 다음 주에 아마 여러분들이 이제 가상으로 인터뷰를 했던 실제로 인터뷰를 했든지 간에 다음 주에 실제 인터뷰를 다시 만드는 뭐 그런 과정들이 있습니다. 여튼 저희들 코치들한테 계속 강조가 된 게 여러분들이 이제 그 프로젝트를 바꿀 수도 있다라는 걸 자꾸 강조를 하셨어요. 그래서 지금 아마 새로운 수완이라는 분이 약간 좀 약간 의욕이 좀 있는 것 같아요. 그래서 약간 지금 이제 구글에 입김이 들어간 이노베이터가 캠프가 될 것 같아서 그렇긴 한데 어쨌든 시작하자마자 이제 제 얘기가 길었습니다. 그래서 일단은 저는 자기소개 한 셈 치고요. 제 가나다 순으로 자기소개 하겠습니다. 그러면은 불리한 분 계시네요. 성으로 봤을 때. 네, 강 선생님 부탁드릴게요.
안녕하십니까. 저는 광주 부설초등학교 강하영입니다.
네, 이노베이터로 이 자리에 만나게 돼서 너무나 감사드리고요. 작년에 재수해가지고 올해 붙었거든요. 그래서 더 너무 감사한 자리인 것 같습니다.
네, 감사합니다. 작년에도 지원하셨고 작년하고 올해하고 프로젝트가 바뀌셨나요?
비슷한데요. 작년에 영상 촬영 방법을 잘 습득하지 못하고 찍다 보니까 제가 그것에서 약간 미스가 되지 않았을까 싶어요.
제가 아직 여러분들 그 프로젝트 시트를 제가 공유받지 못했어요, 슬라이드를. 그래서 저기 짧게 소개를 좀 해주세요. 어떤 프로젝트다? 그냥 짧게.
네. 그때 영상으로 찍었던 거를 말씀드리면 될 것 같아요.
네네.
잠시만요.
네.
코로나 시기로 인해서 선생님들은 디지털 툴즈를 이용해서 수업을 많이 하고 계셨습니다. 그런데 코로나가 끝나는 이 시점에서 선생님들은 전격적으로 대면 수업으로 바뀌다 보니까 선생님들은 다시 코로나 이전 시기로 돌아가는 그런 텍스트 중심의 수업을 가르치려고 합니다. 그래서 그 코로나 시기에 겪었던 그런 그 수업을 생각해 보면 학부모들도 학생들도 굉장히 흥미를 잃은 수업이 되지 않을까 걱정이 되고 그런 선생님들이 에듀테크를 사용할 수 있지만 다시 텍스트 중심으로 돌아가려고 하는데 그런 선생님들이 어려움을 겪지 않고 앞으로도 꾸준히 사용할 수 있게끔 하는 방법이 있을까? 네, 저의 주제입니다.
그렇군요. 감사합니다. 네.
네.
네, 첫 번째 기회를
네, 어렵네요.
힘드셨죠? 네, 준비 안 되고 있다가. 자, 가나다 순으로 하면은 지금 옆에 계신지 모르겠어요. 지금 앤드류 박. 그래서 시차에 나오셨습니다. 혹시 인사 가능하세요?
네, 안녕하세요. 저 지금 휴가 중이어가지고 저희가 지금 밤 9시라가지고 제가
해외다.
네, 축하드립니다, 선생님들. 잘 부탁드릴게요.
감사합니다.
와, 휴가 중이신다. 감사합니다. 네, 구글의 이제 송 부장님 다음에 새로 오신 어둠션 매니저 맞죠? 저기 직함이 한국에서. 그래서 앤드류 박. 네, 한국이라 말씀드려도 되죠?
네네네.
네네, 이제 박원일 선생님이십니다. 네. 자, 다음에는 그렇고 저희는 다 이응, 지읒, 히읗 다 뒤쪽에 계신 분들만 성이 그렇게 왔네요. 네, 자, 서영쌤.
안녕하세요. 저는 경기 김포설도초등학교에서 근무하고 있는 이서영이라고 하고요. 네, 지금 구글 열심히 하고 있습니다. 네, 요새 크롬북 받아가지고 더 신나서 하고 있고요. 네, 저는 프로젝트가 뭐냐면 이번에 제가 학교를 옮겼는데 굉장히 열악한 지역에 제가 왔거든요. 그래서 약간 아이들이 이제 부모님들이 너무 바쁘다 보니까 아이들 관리가 안 돼요. 그래서 이제 애들 디지털 리터러시 격차도 격차인데 이게 뭐 아이들의 뭐 휴대폰 사용이라든지 뭐 밤에 관리가 안 된다든지 이런 일들이 너무 많아가지고 사실 지도가 잘 안 되는 상황이거든요. 그래서 저는 지금 그 주제로 잡은 것이 그 학부모 리터러시, 디지털 리터러시 교육을 어떻게 하면 그 학부모님들이 자발적으로 참여할 수 있을지, 네, 그 동기부여를 어떻게 할지 그걸로 프로젝트 문제를 좀 잡았습니다. 네, 이상입니다.
학부모에게 초점을 맞춘 거군요. 네.
네, 말씀을 대화가 잘 안 돼서. 네.
다들 왠지 공감하는 분위기. 네.
네.
뒤에가 지금 서영쌤 교실이에요?
네, 저희 교실입니다. 제일 깨끗한 위치로 카메라 위치를 잡았어요.
감사합니다. 네, 좋습니다. 네, 그 다음 이재용 교수님 부탁드릴게요.
네, 안녕하세요. 저는 비전대학교에 근무하고 있고 전주 지역에 살고 있고요. 지지 전북 리더로 활동하고 있습니다. 이번에 저는 주제를 컬러로 잡아봤고요. 제가 사실 이제 컬러 교육을 한 20년 이상 학생들하고 하다 보니까 이제 퍼스널 컬러에 대해서 학생들하고 저희는 미용과다 보니 뭐 피부 톤에 맞는 컬러에 대해서 이제 많이 가르쳤어요. 근데 이제 이번에 코로나 겪으면서 이 컬러가 주는 심리적인 영향 또는 건강에 미치는 영향에 대해서 좀 더 프로젝트를 하면 더 재밌을 것 같다라고 생각이 들어서 작년에는 저희가 미얀마하고 베트남 학생들이 항상 클래스가 있어요. 한 반씩 1, 2학년 유학생 반이 있고 3, 4학년 반에도 있기 때문에 사실은 그 베트남 미얀마 학생들이 컴퓨팅을 잘 못해서 그걸로 주제를 했었는데 그다지 저의 전공하고는 어울리지 않는다 생각을 했는지 주변 분들이 별로다라는 반응이 좀 있어서 저하고는 거리가 먼 전공. 사실 제가 뭐 이렇게 디지털 리터러시 교육이나 뭐 구글 클래스룸 강의를 하면 다른 학교 교수님들도 아니 미용과 교수님이 어떻게 그런 걸 해요라고 물어보시거든요. 그래서 저하고 뭔가 이렇게 동떨어졌다고 생각을 하시는 것 같아요. 그래서 이번에 주제는 저하고 가까운 이제 뷰티에 관련된 컬러 프로젝트를 해봤습니다. 네, 감사합니다.
그래서 그 색깔이 이제 그 컬러 프로젝트 나중에 한번 좀 더 나눠주시면 되게 재밌을 것 같아요.
네.
제가 처음에 잠깐 봤었는데 컬러가 이제 사람들의 성격에 미치는 영향 뭐 그런 거를 조금 이렇게 적으셨더라고요. 그래서 좀 특이한 분야이기도 하고 아마 그래서 또 구글에서 택하지 않았을까. 자기네들이 안 해본 분야니까 그렇다는 생각도 좀 살짝 듭니다. 네, 감사합니다. 자, 그다음은 우리 장덕진 선생님.
네, 안녕하세요. 네, 저 이제 내년에 4개월 뒤에 세비초로 돌아가는 장덕진입니다. 네.
돌아간다는 말이 무슨 말이에요?
교육청에 파견 제가 2년 나왔는데 이제 다시 학교 교사로 돌아갑니다. 네, 탈출이죠 이제. 네, 맞습니다. 네, 그렇죠. 이제 업무의 노예로 살았는데 어쨌든 저는 사실 이 프로젝트 저는 인터뷰를 했는 게 오한나 코치님, 이현준 이노베이터님의 이제 와이프분이신데 좀 너무 실명을 거론해서 그렇긴 한데 제가 이제 잡았던 주제가 뭐냐면 사실 이게 신기술이나 이런 것들이 사실 뭐라 볼 수 있냐면 이게 제가 이제 교육청에 있어서 좀 많이 들었던 얘기가 뭐냐면 이제 초등 선생님들 아시는 뭐 참샘스쿨이나 아니면 몽당 분필이나 이런 그룹들이 있다라고 쳤을 때 그러니까 지난 2010년은 이제 미디어 리터러시의 시대였는데 대부분의 교사들은 못하고 그냥 밑에 깔려있는 이 사람들과 스타 강사가 된 일부들 이런 식으로 되어서 이런 갭들이 상당히 많이 있거든요. 그래서 신기술 같은 인공지능이나 이런 것도 소프트웨어도 마찬가지고 전부 다 이제 배울 데가 없어요. 체계적으로 내가 뭘 해야 되고 뭘 해야 되고 몰라서 이제 오한나 선생님 같은 경우에 특히 중등이셔서 더 그런 게 초등은 전교까지만 중등은 이제 개별 자기만의 주식 교과가 있으니까 그러니까 한나 쌤은 이제 음악 교사인데 이런 디지털을 하려고 하거나 뭔가 소프트웨어 교육을 배우고 싶은데 네가 정보 교사도 아닌데 왜 그러냐 뭐 이런 식으로 안 껴주기도 하고 그런 경우가 되게 많았다라고 하더라고요. 그래서 한나 쌤이 저한테 카톡도 되게 많이 하시고 한나 쌤은 이제 좀 책을 쓰셨던 선생님들한테 개인적으로 이제 페이스북 메신저나 이런 거 보내서 막 어떻게 공부해야 되는지 물어보고 뭐 초등학생들 보는 책도 사서 막 공부하시고 그런 식으로 하신 그런 걸 보고 나서 제가 좀 생각이 들었던 게 이제 이런 새로운 기술이 들어왔을 때 빨리 치고 나가는 스타 강사들은 참 많은데 다들 뭐 이렇게 지역을 대표하고 그런 사람들 많은데 이 대부분의 선생님들을 함께 가지를 못하는 그런 거에 조금 문제 의식을 삼아서 제가 생각했던 건 이제 뭐 아이오라드라든지 아니면 체계적인 커리큘럼을 조금 제공을 해줘서 구글에도 되게 좋은 것들이 많으니까 그러니까 그런 것들을 이제 좀 체계적으로 전해주는 이런 갭을 줄이는 그걸 일단 프로젝트로 잡았는데 사실 좀 오늘 보다 보니까 그 구글의 대안적 챌린지 중에 1번이 또 관심이 가기도 하고 네, 그렇게 일단 말씀을 드리겠습니다.
네, 저도 1번에 사실 약간 관심은 있어요. 특히 저는 이제 보호종류 청소년들에 좀 관심을 좀 갖고 있어서 혹시 그쪽으로 나중에 같이 해도 될 것 같습니다. 네, 감사합니다. 네, 정경욱 선생님.
네, 안녕하세요. 잘 들리시나요?
예.
네.
네. 저는 동두천 신천초등학교에서 근무하고 있고요. 제 지금 근무하고 있는 학교가 그 탄소 중립 시범 학교로 이제 선정이 되면서 이제 좀 지속 가능 발전 교육 이런 거에도 조금 학교의 어떤 그 컬러가 조금 이제 묻어나고 있거든요. 그래서 제가 이제 연구를 하고 있는 어떤 보고서를 작성하고 있는 것 중에 또 주제가 하나가 그 지속 가능 발전 교육인데, 이 SDGs로 불리는 이 지속 가능 발전 교육을 좀 이렇게 에듀테크를 활용을 해서 좀 이게 17개의 목표들이 있는데, 그런 17개의 목표들을 어떻게 하면 에듀테크를 활용을 해서 좀 이렇게 전 세계적으로 좀 글로벌적으로 네트워킹을 해가지고 좀 하나하나씩 미션을 좀 해나갈 수 있을까, 좀 이런 좀 방대한 좀 그런 그 목표를 갖고 이제 그 이노베이터 영상을 찍을 때 이제 이야기를 했었습니다. 근데 잘 먹혔는지 어쨌는지 모르겠는데 막상 그렇게 해놓고 생각을 해보니까 쉽지가 않을 것 같아요. 쉽지가 않을 것 같은데 일단 목표는 크게 잡으라고 했으니 일단 크게 잡고 한번 시작해 볼까 합니다. 네, 감사합니다.
감사합니다. 자, 그러면은 다음 지민정 선생님 말씀해 주세요.
네. 이게 제 학교 컴퓨터가 되게 안 좋아서 계속 멈추더라고요. 언제 제가 설명할지 모르겠습니다. 네. 저는 평택 지휘지 리더로 있고요. 그리고 지금 초등학교 6학년 부장을 하면서 계속 이제 학년 부장을 많이 했었거든요. 그래서 그러면서 이제 저희가 이제 저희 이제 연구 주제 같은 경우에는 저는 약간 역량 중심 교육 과정에 되게 관심이 많아요. 그리고 이제 교육의 목표, 이제 우리나라 교육의 목표에서도 보면 OECD의 이제 2030 프로젝트를 이제 목표로 삼고 있거든요. 목표를 삼고 있는데 이거를 어떻게 그 워크스페이스 기반으로 이거를 실현할 수 있을까? 그 방법을 좀 누가 좀 정리해서 좀 알려주면 좋겠다라는 생각이 들더라고요. 그래서 OECD 좀 팔았습니다. OECD 덕에 제가 이노베이터가 된 거 아닌가 싶은 생각이 드는데요. 어쨌든 우선은 그래서 OECD 에듀케이션 2030에서 이제 추구하는 이런 가치나 이런 것들에 대해서 탐구를 해 나가면서 어떻게 체계적으로 이거를 좀 시스템화해서 사람들에게 전파해 줄 수 있을까? 그게 저의 1년 연구 주제입니다. 만나서 반갑습니다.
반갑습니다. 드디어 가나다에서 이제 어쩔 수 없이 이번엔 저희가 이 순서로 했으니까 평준쌤 소개해 주세요.
안녕하세요. 저는 경기도
소리가
고양시에서
작다. 네네.
경기도 고양시에서 근무하고 있고요. 마이크.
조금만 올려주세요. 혹시 가능하면 마이크 볼륨을.
고양시 지금 잘 들리시나요?
네, 앞으로 오시면 잘 들립니다.
그래서 경기도 고양시에 근무하고 있고 초등학교 교사고요. 6학년 담임 맡고 제가 했던 그 프로젝트는 학생들이 스마트폰이나 미디어에 굉장히 많이 노출되어 있는데 그런 아이들과 소통하는데 좀 저는 낯설더라고요. 그래서 그 학생들과 잘 소통해서 그러니까 저는 결과적으로는 좋은 수업, 그들에게 맞는 정말 좋은 수업을 하기 위해서 아이들과 어떻게 소통할 것인가, 그러니까 지금의 6학년들이나 청소년들 이렇게 잡았습니다. 이상인가?
네, 감사합니다. 지금 막 벌써 저기 페어시스의 이름 적고 계시네요. 아직 아무 얘기도 안 나왔는데 그거 조금 이따가 발표되면 그때부터 적으셔도 충분합니다. 하여튼 그렇고요. 오늘은 그냥 쭉 들으시면 돼요. 그래서 지금 전체 커리를 제가 다 에임폼에다 받은 거는 아니지만 되게 천천히 갈 겁니다. 어떻게 보면 천천히 가요. 그래서 제가 2박 3일 동안에 거의 이제 온라인 과정에 대해서 제가 별로 언급하지 말라 그랬는데 2박 3일 중에서 이제 거의 이틀을 디자인 싱킹의 기본에 대해서 배우고 프로토타입을 만들고 또 일부러 실패도 시키고 이제 그런 과정들이 있었거든요. 아마 여러분들도 비슷하게 갈 것 같습니다. 그래서 프로토타이핑을 하는 것까지 하면 되게 빠르게 아마 할 거예요. 그래서 오늘 뭔가 하는 것들이 여러분들 프로젝트 직접 다루는 그런 건 아닐 거고요. 그냥 오늘은 논다라고 생각하시고 그리고 실제 뭐든지 활동을 할 때에는 이제 한국인들하고 같이 또 저희 그룹 안에서 거의 활동이 될 거기 때문에 긴장 안 하시고 보시면 될 것 같습니다. 그리고 오늘 강연도 보니까 이제 레스 맥베스가 인도해 주실 내용들도 10분 동안에 했던 거 그걸 다시 풀어서 아마 가실 거예요. 너무 걱정하지 마시고 그냥 오늘은 즐기시면 됩니다. 자, 그래서 일단은 저희들이 빨리 자기소개가 끝났기 때문에 저희는 지금부터 다음 배 올릴 때까지 놀면 되거든요. 혹시 뭐 캠프라든지 이런 거나 아니면은 뭐 궁금하신 점 있으시면 네, 편하게 말씀해 주시면 될 것 같습니다.
우선 저거 명단을 작성하고 편하게 놀면 어떨까요? 네.
저거요?
그러니까
네, 그래요.
셋에다가
근데
뭘
좀
써야
이따가 요거 작성하는 거 설명하는 시간이 또 있거든요, 사실은.
아,
네, 설명하는
네.
시간이 있는데 지금 그룹 적고 있는 거 보니까 지금 네, 몇몇 그룹에서 이미 그러니까 작년에 경험하셨던 분들이 혼동이 있을까봐 벌써 적고 계시는 것 같아요. 그러면은 적을 수 있는데 저희가 뭐 랜덤으로 할 수도 있습니다. 랜덤으로 할 수도 있는데 일단 저희는 36번부터 해서 적어 나가죠. 요거를 적어 나가시는 방법은 지금 제가 요거 저기 채팅에도 같이 띄워드릴게요. 그래서 요거
페어 순서 혹시 중요하나요?
상관없습니다. 상관없고 다만 적으시는 거는 지금 왼쪽에 이름을 적으신 분이 미트방을 만드시면 돼요. 왼쪽에 적으신 분이 미트방을 만드시면 되고 캘린더에서 미리 만들어 갖고 초청을 하는 것도 방법이고요. 근데 이제 요거를 하는 이유는 우리 참가자들끼리 서로 이제 잘 모르기 때문에 서로 이제 이메일 주소라든지 그런 거 모르니까 미트방으로 바로 하는 거고요. 나는 한국인 말고 영어 하는 사람하고 얘기하고 싶다 하시는 분들은 지금 형준쌤 적은 것처럼 코리안 잉글리시 적으셔도 괜찮아요. 네. 그래서 나는 그냥 안 적고서 다른 사람 적은 데 들어갈래. 약간 눈치 게임도 있습니다, 이거. 네, 그러시는 분들은 이제 2번에다가 나중에 적어주시면 돼요. 네. 그래서 일단은 다 적으시면 됩니다. 그래서 나는 완료가 됐다. 그러신 분들은 예, 그냥 진짜로 마음 편하게 시간 보내시면 됩니다.
코치님 이거 혹시 방을 이렇게 돌아가면서 해야 되는 그런
그건 아니고요. 이제 오늘은 만난 분하고만 계속 얘기를 할 거예요.
눈치 게임.
이렇게 만나는 거를 아마 거의 매주 조금씩 다르게 시킬 거예요. 네. 그래서 일단은 꼭 저희 조 안에서만 안 만나셔도 되고 다른 한국인을 찾아가셔도 괜찮습니다.
코치님들하고는 안 하고 이 참가자들끼리만 하는 건가요?
네, 거의 기본적으로 참가자들하고만 하는데요. 지금 예를 들어가지고 지금 저희 팀 같은 경우는 7명이기 때문에 짝이 안 맞으니까 저도 보고 있다가 이제 누군가 계속해서 미트방이 안 만들어진다, 짝이 없다. 그러면 저도 이제 보고서 들어가야 되죠. 네, 저는 이제 방 보고 있다가 코리안인데 저기 짝지가 없는 사람 있으면은 막 현준쌤이나 저나 둘 중에 한 사람이 아마 들어가게 될 겁니다. 잠깐만요. 네네.
아까 어나운스 제일 먼저 하신 분 막 소음이 많이 들려가지고 그러지 않았나요? 저만 그랬나? 미트 링크는 1번 이름을 가지신 분이 만드는 거예요, 지금?
네, 그런 것 같아요.
네.
네, 지금 제가 아직 짝을 못 찾았는데 혹시 저희 조에서 혹시 아직 짝 없으신 분 계신가요?
코치님 김정주 코치님.
아니요. 앤드류 박 네, 매니저님. 외국인과 도전해 보시는 건 어떠신가요? 영향이 되시니.
저만 남은 게 맞군요. 잠시만요.
누가 왔어요.
왔네요. 네. 이리라 쌤은 저희한테 잘해주셨던 것 같은데.
네, 저기 이현주 잠시만요. 그래서 지금 그 영어권이랑 하고 싶으신 분들 어떻게 하시는지 그런 말씀하셔서 아까 제가 했던 것과 똑같은 말씀 드렸습니다. 그래서 영어권하고 하실 분들은 네, 영어권으로 이름 적으시면 돼요. 그다음에 아직은 이게 지금 픽스가 아니니까 왼쪽에 있는 이름 보고 도망가실 수도 있어요. 여러분은 마음대로 하시면 됩니다. 좀 이따가. 네, 그건 알아서 하세요. 네. 그래서 원래 순서는 네임 1번에다가 누군가 적으시고 그 다음에 2번이 붙는 거예요. 진짜로 눈치 게임을 해야 되는 거였어요. 이거는. 네, 그렇습니다.
또 인기가 없는 사람은 또 좀 불리한.
이제 그런 분들은 이제 코치가 가서 붙는 거죠.
네.
예, 걱정 안 하셔도 됩니다. 그래서 지금 보면은 저기 말레이시아와 인도네시아 분들이 많이 오셨어요. 근데 제가 경험해 본 결과 발음이 어려운 거는 그분들보다는 오히려 저기 오스트레일리아 그쪽 발음이 영어 발음에 익숙한 저희들이 진짜 어렵습니다. 네, 거기는 레드를 리드라고 읽어요.
앤디가 어느 나라 사람, 어느 쪽이요?
네, 방금 말한 오스트레일리아.
오스트레일리아 맞죠. 저도 앤디 계속 들으면서 저도 잘 이해가 안 되는 게 많았어가지고 다들 그러신 거죠? 저만
네. 그래서 다행히 자막을 켜면 자막이 잘 받아들여 줍니다. 그나마. 네. 레스는 영국 영어이기 때문에 이따가 발음하실 레스는 영국 영어니까 그분은 저희가 알아듣기 되게 편할 거예요. 네. 말씀만 빨리 안 하시면 네. 그나마 편한 영어를 구사해 주십니다. 예. 그룹이 벌써 45개 그룹까지 벌써 이름이 되어 있군요. 예. 다 적으셨으니까 차근차근 준비하시면 되고요. 약간 미리 말씀을 드리면 여러분들이 지금 작성하신 모든 프로젝트는 내년 1년 동안 꼭 진행 안 하셔도 괜찮습니다. 그러니까 저희가 페일벨이라고 부르는데 언제든지 내가 방향이 틀린 것 같아 라든가 아니면은 저 같은 경우도 완전히 뒤집었거든요. 저는 이제 제가 일하는 곳이 바뀌는 것도 있었고 상황이 바뀌는 바람에 제가 더 이상 제가 처음에 프로젝트는 그걸 시리아 난민들한테 우리가 어떻게 하면은 우리는 한국 사람들인데 아랍어만 할 수 있는 사람들한테 어떻게 빠르게 뜻을 그대로 변형하지 않으면서 전달할까 뭐 이런 얘기를 했었는데 상황이 바뀌면서 저는 한 서너 번은 뒤집었던 것 같아요. 그러고 보니까 딱 타이밍에 4시 20분 돼서 돌아가라고 합니다. 그래서 이제 돌아가면은 이제 레스가 강의하고 이제 그 다음에 조금 있다가 이런 식으로 이제 또 조별도 하는 그다음에 짝으로 하는 활동이 있을 거예요. 예, 이따 뵙겠습니다.
네.
이따 뵙겠습니다.
Are you back in? Well, welcome back to the main room, and thanks. Hopefully you've introduced yourselves to the other people in your team and have met your coaches and your fellow teammates, and also have started to arrange yourself into pairs to help with Les's activity a bit later on. Before we hand over to Les, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the organisation and logistics around the programme over the next 8 weeks and the different ways in which we're going to keep in touch with you and where you can go to find various things. As you'll have seen at the weekend, each week, at the end of the week, we send out a weekly email to tell you what's coming up in the next week. So last week, you'll have had an email from me talking about this session with the link to this meet and anything we want you to do in the case of last week watching Leslie's video, so anything that's due that week. So we will always send a weekly email so you know what's going on each week on the programme, and the email will contain links to things like any Google Meets taking place at the programme level during that week. We also have our cohort chat, and I think we nearly have everybody in the chat now, but if you're not in our Google chat yet, feel free to reach out to me via email to info@certifiedinnovators.com, and we'll see if we can work out getting you into our innovator chat. I know the chat can get busy at times. I know we're all learning how Google Tasks works inside chat as we go through, but it is a useful way for us to connect asynchronously with each other. And then for the first time this year, we're testing out a new program hub that is very much in beta right now. And thank you for people giving me feedback on the hub. And that's where we're going to place all the resources. So the slides from today, the slides from Leslie's session, any workbooks we're using, any recordings, so the recording of today's session will all go into the program hub. So you can access things back in your own time if you want to look at something again, or watch something back, or use any of the materials from any of the sessions. It's all going to be living inside the program hub. Right now, there's just a video of Les, but we're going to add to it as we go over the next 8 weeks, and that'll become sort of a resource base for you to access things from. So those are the 3 key areas in terms of communication. In the next week, you will also receive an email from Google asking you to sign a non-disclosure agreement. We often share with our innovators information about upcoming new products at Google, and we share them before they've been launched and before they're made public. To enable us to do that and to give you early access to tools and to give you early heads up on things that are coming, we ask our innovators to sign a non-disclosure agreement. So you should receive that by email probably within the next 7 days. It comes out from Google's legal team, and once we've got them all signed, we will have a session during our 8 weeks where we talk about what's coming next from Google, and we'll do a product roadmap session where we look into what the next and future products are. But we'll only plan that session once we get all our NDAs signed, so we know we're allowed to share with you what's coming next. So keep your eye out for an NDA email probably in the next 7 days from Google to sort that out. If you are a trainer or a coach, you might have already signed one before for the NDA work on those programs. That's it for me for now. I'm going to hand over my screen to Les, and we're going to hear from Les about the first stage in design thinking as we attempt to complete the world's fastest design sprint. Les, over to you.
Thank you, Andy. And Andy is right. We are about to start the world's fastest design sprint. Now, before we start the sprint, I just wanted to give you the caveat that today, this design sprint today is just for fun. We're only doing this today just so that you can get a sense of the process, and also a bit of an energizer, a chance for you to meet one of your fellow innovators and have a good chat with them and share some ideas. But this has nothing to do with your projects. So when I'm telling you to make decisions and to think really quickly and to, just, it's okay. It's all just for fun. So I'll give you that caveat before we get started, because it is going to be fast as we go through this today. Before we get started, I just wanted to do a quick introduction to design thinking. I know you watched my video, but I'm just going to talk a little bit about the mindset we want to embrace today. So the Google EI program, the Innovator Program, is a launchpad. And I met Andy back in 2016 at MTV 16. This is where the rivalry between me and Andy really started, was back in Mountain View in 2016. A friendly rivalry. And my problem at that time, my question that I asked was, how might we empower students to solve the world's big problems? And much like you, I went through this process of getting and receiving feedback, of sharing our ideas with each other. And in the end of this, I actually ended up leaving my job as a classroom teacher and helping to launch Future Design School, which is where I'm currently working. And when a lot of our work at Future Design School is helping educators to go through this design thinking process for themselves to solve problems within the school, but also with their students. And because when we think about education, we're all kind of asking the same question, right? How are we preparing our students for tomorrow? And we know that the future is radically different, and that we want to encourage our students to pursue their passions and equip them with the skills that they need to succeed. And the process that we're going to use today will provide you with this flexible, adaptable skill set that can help you to adjust and problem solve on the fly. And these are the same skills that we want to be developing in our students. So what we're really asking you to do is to think about how you can embrace this creative confidence that you need in order to tackle challenges. And so as we go through this today really quickly, and then in the following 8 weeks with your projects, we want you to really think about opportunities that are found within challenges. So, and thinking about how you can find a problem and solve a problem, that great introduction video that Andy showed at the beginning there. And then taking those ideas and believing in the potential of those ideas. And so to do that, we're going to leverage design thinking. Now, I've been working in the area of design thinking for many years, starting back with an organization called the Design Trust for Public Space, which is what actually inspired me to become a teacher long time ago, too many years ago now. And then I use this process in the classroom with my students and as well to help them to solve problems. And one of the things that often came up with our students was, what is design? And students would say to me, oh, Miss Macbeth, I'm not a designer. I'm not good at art. And so I want to also put this out there as we go into this design process, is to kind of get rid of that connection that being good at art has nothing to do with design. Because what design really is solving problems for people. And this idea of design thinking comes from areas of things like graphic design, where our graphic designers are really thinking about how do I communicate effectively with people, architects who are thinking about how do I design space for people, and industrial designers who are designing products for people. And the thing that all these areas of design have in common is empathy, is really understanding the needs of our users. And you heard this in the video last week. It's really at the heart of everything is being user-centered. So as we go through this process, I want you to always keep your users in mind as we go through this cyclical process of thinking about design thinking. And we're going to phrase our questions as how might we questions. And today you're going to be each other's users. So you're going to be working together and you're going to be users for each other. But moving forward, we want you to think about who are the users, who are the people that are impacted by your project. And so we'll be going through this repeatable process of coming up with ideas, testing some of those ideas, and then prototyping. And the prototyping is the fun part, but it can also be the challenging part. Prototyping is really about testing our ideas before we go through and launch them. And so we call this learning how to Flintstone. And I'm not sure if the Flintstones were popular in every country that's on the call here today, but I know as a kid I used to watch the Flintstones, and Fred Flintstone had a car. And it looked like a car and it acted like a car, but if you look really closely, there was no engine in his car. So I want you to keep that in mind as well as you're going through this process, that your prototype, what you create by the end of this 8 weeks, does not have to be your final product. And even what you create at the end of the year might not be your final product. It might not have all the pieces figured out, but it's really about going through this process of falling in love with the problem and not the solution, and feeling like you can break things and try stuff and fail. So keep that in mind, that innovation is an attitude, and that's what we want to sort of keep front and center today as we go through this process. So we're going to go through the whole process today. So we're going to start with empathizing and defining, we're going to iterate, we're going to prototype, we're going to test, and we're going to launch all in the next hour. So it's going to be super, super fast, and it's going to feel a little bit messy as we go through this super fast design sprint, because we know that what really happens is not going to be quite as neat and tidy as this circle here. So with no further ado, we're going to launch our world's fastest design sprint. And we are going to do a problem today that has nothing to do with your projects, and in fact, nothing to do with education. So what we're going to do today is we're going to put you into pairs. We're going to give you a challenge, and you are going to then work together to try to solve that challenge and come up with some ideas in a super fast and fun way. So the challenge, can we get a drum roll, please, is how might we leverage technology to solve a problem in our partner's life outside of education? So you're going to be with a partner, those pairs that you just made on that sheet, whoever you're with on that sheet is going to be your partner. What you're going to do is one of you is going to be the designer and one of you is going to be the user. So that's the first decision you have to make as a pair. Who's going to be the designer and who's going to be the user? And then if you're the user, you're going to describe a problem that you're experiencing in your life that your partner is going to attempt to design a solution for. The key is it can't be related to school. It has to be something outside of school. So as we go through this process, there's going to be a few protocols that we're going to use. And we're going to use these today, and then you'll also find that this sort of continues as we slow down this process over the next 8 weeks and go through it with your projects. So what we're going to do is I'm going to introduce the concept, so I'll give you some explanation. Then we're going to send you off and allow you to work together in a timed sprint. So a sprint is meant to be really fast. So you're going to go off and have a certain amount of time to do this activity. And then you're going to come back together and we'll talk about that activity and do a little reflection, and then we'll move on to the next activity. So when you go into your partners, you're going to need to remember to keep your eye on the clock, because we're going to say you have 10 minutes for this activity. We're going to ask you to leave this window open if you can. If you're on a mobile device, you might be able to have 2 meets open, but if you're on a computer, then leave this meet open when you go over to your partner meet, so that you can see the timer on the screen, and that will be counting down and telling you how much time you have left. And we'll make sure we're also going to drop it into the group chat, the VIA 2022 Innovator chat. We'll make sure we drop it in there too, to say you've got 2 minutes left, you've got 1 minute left, to make sure you come back. So time is really important. You're also, for today's sprint, you're going to need a workbook. Now, in future, when we work on your actual projects, we'll be sharing a workbook via the hub. But because today is just for fun, you're all going to need a copy of the workbook. And I've just dropped that link there into the chat. That link will take you to a forced copy document. You need one for you and your partner. So what I'm going to say right now is, if you are on the pairs sheet, if you're listed as partner number 1, so if you're in the first column there, I'm going to ask you to grab a copy of that workbook and then share it with your partner when you go into the first breakout. And that way you guys can work together on the same document. I already mentioned timing for our breakouts. And the other thing to note is that you're going to have, again, like I said, one of you will be the user and one of you will be the designer. So I'll let you guys choose in your pairs who wants to be the user and who wants to be the designer. So who's going to share your problem and which one of you is going to create. Really, you're going to end up both being designers, because you're both going to kind of work together to create the solution, but that's sort of how it will work. So that was a lot of information all at once, but we're going to launch right in now. If at any point right now, if you're feeling confused or you have questions, do feel free to use that chat and drop that in there. So our first part of our design thinking process, as you saw in the video and we've talked about already today, is focusing on our user. So we're thinking here about who is the person that has the problem and how can we get to know our user better. So in this first breakout, what we'll do is we're going to have our users. So if you've been decided that you're the user, you are going to share a problem that you're experiencing that's not related to education. If you are the designer, then you're going to have 1 minute to reflect back the problem that your partner just shared with you. So you've got 2 minutes to say, here's the problem that I'm experiencing. And then the designers are going to reflect back and say, okay, here's what I heard you tell me. Now, there's going to be slides in your workbook where you can take notes. You'll see that in a moment as well. And when it comes to thinking about those problems, I just want to give you a bit of framing for this. The problems could be big. It could be things like, I don't have enough time for my family, and I really want to spend more time with them. To me, that's a big problem. Or it could be something really small, like, sorry, my slides are just freezing now on me. There we go. It could be something really small, like I need to go to bed earlier. That's a problem that I have early because it's 3 in the morning here. So it could be a big problem or a small problem. It doesn't matter the scale of the problem. The important thing is that it must be a personal problem. So we don't want you to go off and try to solve, you know, world poverty or hunger or things like that. Just think about what's a problem that you personally are experiencing right now. So when you reflect back at the end of this, our designers are going to say things like, what I heard you say is that you really have a hard time going to bed at night, or shifting gears to from work mode to at-home mode, something like that. So you're going to reflect back what you heard your partner say. And then the users are going to offer feedback. Actually, that's not quite what I meant. Or, yeah, that's exactly what I was describing to you. So this is sort of practicing active listening skills. How can we really listen to what our partner's saying and then reflect back to ensure that what we heard is what they were trying to communicate, and think about anything that they missed. So our key instructions here is you're going to go into your breakout. You're going to get a workbook that your partner is going to share. One of you will share with each other. You're going to copy all this information down during this conversation. The designer will be capturing what you're saying on the sheet in your workbook. There's an example in your workbook there that you can take a look at as well. So maybe the problem is forgetting your friends' birthdays or something like that. That's the example that's in the workbook. And then you're going to try to define what that problem is and think about what are some opportunities related to that problem. So that's part one of your first breakout. I'm actually going to give you instructions for part two as well, so that then you have longer together in that meet. So after you've shared about the problems that you're having, then you're going to try to define the problem and narrow it down into a how might we question. So the how might we question is a way of phrasing your problem as an opportunity. And so again, you'll find that there is a template in your workbook that will help you to define this how might we problem. So you're going to narrow down into a point of view statement. Your user is, what is the characteristic of that user? What do they need and why do they have that problem? So for example, Les is a busy mom and a caring friend who needs a way to do something special for my friends' birthdays because I value showing them how much they mean to me even when they're far away. And so the question might be, how might we leverage technology to automate birthday messages that still have a thoughtful touch? So we've created a how might we question that relates to the problem that I'm experiencing of forgetting my friends' birthdays. So you're going to have 10 minutes. In the 10 minutes, you've got 2 minutes to say hello, introduce yourself, if you don't already know each other, sort out that workbook. So make sure that one of you has a copy of the workbook and you share it with the other person. Then you're going to have 2 minutes for the designer or the user to describe their challenge, and 1 minute for the designer to reflect back that challenge, and then 5 minutes for you to write a point of view statement and a how might we question. Altogether, you've got 10 minutes in your first breakout. Is everybody ready for that? All right. So to get to your breakouts, you are going to go to your pairs sheet and you're going to go to that meet that you created when you're in your coaching group. So you're going to go to that sheet, which will drop into the chat again in case you've lost that link. And you're going to click on the meet link. If you can, leave this one open. We'll put on a 10-minute timer and we'll let you know when you've got a few minutes left in the chat as well. So your goal is to come back here in 10 minutes with a how might we question that relates to your partner's challenge that they're experiencing. All right, we'll see you in 10 minutes.
혜연아! 거기에 오븐에 치킨 있어. 지금 브레이크 타임이니까 빨리 알려줘. 나 치킨 안 먹을 건데. 아파.
반티 사야 되는데.
저녁에 하면 안 돼?
안 돼, 지금 바로 보내는데 할머니랑. 나만 안 냈어, 나만.
조용히. 저 앞으로 가 보여.
Hi there. I'm going to stay in this meet. I'm hoping that James can contact me. He might come back here.
What about now? Can you hear me?
Hey, Ken. I sent you the link. Should I send it on the Telegram as well for you? Hey, James, that'd be absolutely awesome. Yes. Sure, no worries. I'll put it on there. Thank you.
Yeah. Am I talking? Oh, wait a minute.
If anyone's having trouble finding your partner, please drop into the chat. And coaches, if you see someone in one of your groups who does not have a partner here, or their partner is disconnected for some reason, and they mention it in the chat, just jump in and you can be their partner, coaches, if anyone is having trouble. That would be great.
교수님 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. 왜 여전히 저쪽도 켜 있지? 저쪽 꺼야 되죠?
아, 저도 그냥 켜놨어요. 어차피 다시 돌아가야 돼서. 예.
아,
그냥 마이크만 꺼놨어요.
아, 네네네.
뭘 하라고 하는데.
뭐
네.
불편했던 거 생활에서?
네.
그 사용해 본 거 중에서 한 사람은 경험을 얘기하고 한 사람은 디자인 띵킹을 하라는 것 같은데요.
디자인 띵킹 혹시 해보셨어요?
No. 이게 마치 뭐 특허 생각할 때 뭐 왜 우리가 생활을 할 때 뭐가 불편했어. 그걸 아이디어 내가지고 특허 내고 막 이런 거처럼 하는 것 같아요 지금.
그냥 발명 기법을 연습시키는 그냥.
그런 것 같아요.
예, 그냥 연습을 시키는 것 같은데.
연습시키고 그 중에서 좋은 아이디어는 또 지네들이 쓰겠죠.
그래서 그냥 별게 없는 것 같습니다.
아.
네, 저희끼리 그냥 얘기하다가 아니면 좀 쉬시겠어요?
Andy.
Yeah.
I found a partner, but he let me out.
이게 뭔 소리야? 이런.
이리다 쌤이 저쪽 방에서 얘기를 계속 하시는.
근데 왜 이게 전체를 다 들리지?
Yeah, partner, is that right?
두 분이서 파악을 잘 못하셨나 봐요. 이리다
I
쌤.
don't have any partners.
엥?
Okay, give me a second. Look on the sheet.
Somebody kicked me out.
That's not a problem. Can you rejoin the meet or not?
왜 놀리지?
I need someone
아, 저희가 두
to
군데
be
있구나.
my partner. Help me out, please.
Okay, no worries. Not a problem at all.
아까 우리 방에 황 선생님인가 파트너 못 찾아가지고 일이라고 거기 들어온 거
I
아니에요?
help her.
Oh, JJ, you want to jump in? Yeah.
Yep. I do that.
Drop a link if Lee. JJ, drop a link to the meeting this
아, 이게 신기하네요. 사이트 음속을
Lee,
하니까
click the link and then we're all
둘 다 안 들려요. 미트가 두 개 창이 되는데.
두 개 다 열리네. 신기하네.
네. 근데 이게 인식은 하나로 되는지 사이트 음소거하니까 두 쪽 소리가 다 안 들려요.
Okay, the link's in the chat, Lee. Click that link. It should be good to go and join JJ.
소리를 꺼놔야겠다.
조용하다.
네. 파트너가 없으셨구나. 아이고.
아까 황형준 선생님
그 쌤이랑 하셨던 것 같은데 분명
자기를
킥했다고. 정경욱 쌤인가 뭐 그런 분이셨던 것 같은데. 그분이 최지은 쌤이랑 하시는군요. 네. 랍이라는 분 그분 아닌가요? 서울에 있는 분? 랍이라는 뭐. 교수님 잘 지내세요 요새?
너무 바빠. 이번 학기 수업이 너무 많아가지고
그러니까요.
정신이 없는데
이거까지 해야 되죠.
이것도 해야 되고 막 우리 학교에서도 또 뭘 자꾸
일이
학회장님이
네.
뭐 메타버스도 해서 뭘 내라 그러고 나 진짜 왜 나를 괴롭히는지 모르겠어요.
이게 잘하면 계속 써서 힘듭니다.
아니 그런 거 아닌데 선생님 어디 갔지?
저요?
네, 선생님 얼굴이 사라졌다. 내가 이걸 딴 창을 열었구나.
네.
시트지를 열어서.
자, 딱 프로그램을 다 보니까
네.
디자인 띵킹 뭐 이게 뭐 다 의미가 없고 시간 지나서 산출물만 잘 내면
프로젝트만 맞아요.
네, 끝나는 그건 것 같고 그냥 프로젝트도 그냥 그냥 어떻게든 그냥 구색만 갖추면 별 말을 안 하는 것 같아요 이 사람들이.
그렇다 하더라고요. 아직 누가 뭐 특별히 그걸 뭐 조정하거나
그러니까요.
예, 간섭하거나 뭐 규율이 있거나 이런 게 아니래요.
그래서 편할 것 같긴 합니다.
맞아요.
어차피 네.
이게 관문이 좁아서 그렇지 관문만
들어가오면
예, 맞아요. 자기 맘대로 해도 누가 뭐라고 하는 사람이 없는 거죠.
이게 약간 제 느낌상 이제
네.
어차피 이제 화면 녹화도 안 된다니까
네.
한 4-5주차 되면 이제 점점 이제 저도 구글 문서 그냥 해준 거 보고 그렇구만 이런 거
지금
했었구만.
오늘은 녹화가 되는데 4-5주부터는 녹화 안 한대요? 아까
아니 그게
그랬나?
아니라 이제 녹화를 하는데 얼굴은 개인정보니까 꺼도 된다고.
아.
그래서 비디오 끄고 그냥
그리고 아까 비디오 이거 녹화한 거 다시 볼 수 있게 해준다 했죠?
예.
굳이 그러면 내가 녹음을 안 떠도 되겠네요.
아니 3분 남았는데 쟤들은 왜 자꾸 말을 하는 거야?
뭐 How might we 뭘 쓰라고 퀘스천을 쓰라고 했던 것 같은데 안 써도 되죠?
아 저희요?
예.
했던 걸로 생각하고 나라면 어떻게 할 거냐 그거 아니에요?
그니까.
문제가 생겼을 때.
예, 뭐 불편한 거를 하고 디자인 띵킹을 해가지고 그걸 쓰라고 한 것 같은데 뭐 쓰는 거 안 주나? 안 주나 보네요. 그것도 우리가 막 알아서 하라는 건가?
근데 이제 얘기가 다 됐으니 이제 교수님도 메타버스도 만들어야 되고 이런 문제점에 공착을 해서 How might me 제가 만약에 그거라면 다른 사람이 만든 거 템플릿을 복사해서
아니 진짜 정말 솔직히 메타버스가 정답이라고 해서 메타버스 세상으로 가고 있는데 한국의 교육 현실은 진짜 불편한 거 여기 있네. 이 디바이스도 지금 뭐 크롬북도 제대로 학교에 다 안 돼 있는 상황에서 메타버스는 뭔 기계로 합니까 디바이스를. 이게 진짜 하우마이 우이가 해야 되는 문제점 아닌가요?
환경을 함께 구축해 가야 된다. 이런 식으로.
맞아요. 예.
또
진짜
이제 중고등학생 가면 갈수록 아이패드 달라 해서 크롬북도 싫어하더라고요, 애들이.
근데 아이패드는 할 수 있는 게 너무 많아서 오히려
그쵸.
학습보다는 다른 쪽으로 악용될 위험이 너무 많아서. 예.
아휴, 1분 30초 남았네요.
교실도 컴퓨터 있는 교실 아니면
네.
메타버스도 못해요. 핸드폰으로 입장이 불가능한 것들이 너무 많아가지고.
맞습니다. 이게 저도 그냥 페북 친구들이 이렇게 다들 하는데 이 메타버스가 이런 구글 도구처럼 이런 확장성이 기기 확장성이나 호환성이
떨어지잖아요.
못 따라와서
예,
우려가
그렇다고 이제 고글을 다 1인당 사서 쓸 수 있는 환경도 아니고 너무.
그래서 오큘러스도 저는 그나마 보급 가격이 괜찮긴 한데
맞아요.
학교에서 하려면 30명이면 1200인데 이게
맞아요. 감당하기가 힘들어요. 디바이스가 일단 크롬북도 안 돼 있는 데다가 기본 수업도 못 하는데 이 오큘러스까지 디바이스가 준비되냐는 거예요. 그래서 이게
그러니까요. 노트북도
정말
없는데.
맞아요. 그래서 이게 정말 현실적으로 너무 어려운 점이 많아요. 그래서 이거 우리가 어떻게 해결해야 되는 건지. 하와이 퀘스천.
다 됐네요. 얘기하다 보니까 시간도 됐고 문제도 다 됐고.
도대체 이걸 어떻게 해야 되냐고.
맞습니다. 쉽지 않은 것 같습니다, 항상.
결국은 뭐 컴퓨터실 정말 서로 경쟁이 치열한 컴퓨터실을 어떻게든지 타임을 따서 들어가야 된다. 그것밖에는 이제 아직 해결이.
끝난 것 같습니다. 종료하겠습니다. 다음에 또 링크 보내드릴게요.
감사합니다.
We'll be going back into those pairs in a moment. So if you've got 2 links open, you can leave the other one open as well. But if everyone could just come on back over here to the main room, I'll give you about 30 seconds there just to get back over here to the main room. All right, so if people are dropping in the chat that they're back, that's awesome. If you want to drop in the chat and let us know you're back, that would be great. All right. Okay, so we're going to take a moment now just to reflect on that experience. I know it was fast, and you can't really develop empathy for someone in 2 minutes. But one of the key pieces about the empathy part of the process is to really check our own biases and to try to understand the problem from our user's point of view. So I'd love to hear in the chat from you if you know, why you think that this is a really important step of the design process, or if any of you found it challenging, or you think you might find it challenging with your projects to move beyond your own experience. I'm going to reiterate this again next week and in the coming weeks, is that it's so important for you to try to take on a beginner's mindset. And this can be really hard as innovators, as people who are on the front lines and at the leading edge of what's happening in education. It can be hard sometimes for us to go back and think about those people that might be experiencing different challenges that we're not used to. And so checking your bias and trying to understand the problem from the perspective of your users is so important through this process. So I know that was really fast, but hopefully you got a sense of, here's a problem that my user is experiencing. I'm glad to hear that some of you loved the conversations. This is I think as teachers, we're all very much relational. We like to be in conversation with other people. That's one of the reasons why we chose this career. And so I can see why you enjoyed that process as well. So what we're going to do now is move into the next step in the design thinking process, which is ideation. So how can we think 10x? What we've done is we started by thinking really broadly about who is our user and what are their problems. We tried to narrow it down into a how might we question, and now we're going to think really big. What are all the possible ways that we can solve this problem for our partner? So we're going to do this in a form of rapid ideation, and we're actually going to do this part of the sprint together here in the main room. And you're going to need something to capture your ideas on. So ideally, if you have it, this would be a piece of paper and a Sharpie or something to write with. So some kind of marker, pencil, something to write with, and a piece of paper. If you don't have that on hand, you can also open a Jamboard, or you can just open even a Google Doc where you can write down your ideas. But I much prefer this activity to be done on paper with a piece of with a pencil or something to write with, because it just makes it a bit more of a rapid ideation experience. So I'll give you a moment just to collect those things. And then what we're going to do on our piece of paper, if you've got a piece of paper, is you're just going to fold it into three sections. So just kind of fold it into thirds, because we're going to come up with 3 ideas in a moment here. And you're going to write 1 idea in each section. So what we're going to do is we're going to each come up with 3 ideas. And if you're the designer or the user, you're both going to come up with ideas at this point. You're kind of both going to put on designer hats just because it's more fun for everyone to come up with ideas here. And so you're going to have 3 minutes to come up with 3 ideas to solve the problem that your partner is experiencing. Or if you're the user, then the problem that you're experiencing. So thinking about that how might we question that you just created, what are 3 different ways that you could possibly solve that problem? And you're going to draw out those ideas on a piece of paper. So you're going to try to, in pictures and words, imagine you're playing a game of win, lose, or draw, or Pictionary, and you're going to try to draw out the solution for your partner's problems. In a minute, you're going to go back into your breakout rooms, and you're both going to share your ideas with each other and talk about them. But we want you to capture them here together first, so that when you go into your breakout room, you've got something to share. Now, this is going to be fast. You're only going to have 1 minute per idea. I'm going to put on a timer, and we're all going to do this together. So you want to think quickly, and any idea is a good idea at this point. The beginning of the ideation phase is also always, let's just put out as many ideas as we can really quickly. So here we go. Our first idea. You've got 1 minute to think of 1 way to solve the problem that either you or your partner is experiencing. What was that how might we question, and how can you solve that problem? Again, any idea is a good idea at this point. If you have bad ideas, put them down. You've got 15 seconds left for this first idea. All right, now switch to the next box on your piece of paper, the next section, and write down a second idea. So what's a different way that you could solve this problem? You could build on your first idea, or it could be something totally different. But what's another way you might solve this problem that you or your partner is experiencing? You're gonna go back and share these ideas in a few minutes. So try to capture as much detail as you can. Got 10 seconds left. All right, now a third idea, another way to solve this problem. Again, could be something totally different or it could be related to one of your other ideas, but you need a third possible solution to this problem. All right, so now you've got 3 ideas. They're probably, you know, half-baked at this point, but that's okay. Again, like I said earlier, part of the design thinking process is putting your ideas out there and sharing them when you're not quite sure if it's even a good idea. But that's part of the process, is really being okay and being comfortable with sharing those ideas when they're not fully thought out. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna send you back into a breakout room. And you're going to quickly share your 3 ideas with your partner. So both partners will share. You'll each have about a minute to share your 3 ideas. And then what you're going to do is, as a team, you're going to look at those 6 ideas that you've collectively created, and you're going to pick one idea that you want to move forward. You might also even start to do some iteration here, where maybe you start to combine, oh, I like this part of your idea and this part of my idea. We're going to combine those into one great idea. So you can do that as well. But you've got 5 minutes for you and your partner to think about what's the one solution between all your ideas that you're excited about moving forward to the next phase. So you're now going to go back into those breakout rooms with your pairs, share those ideas, and I'll put on the 5-minute timer, and we'll see you back here in 5 minutes. Andy's just dropped the pair sheet back into the chat there in case you need that.
교수님, 늦게 만들어 죄송합니다.
바쁘셨죠?
아, 예.
어디 계세요?
저요?
네.
오늘은 집입니다.
네, 저도 수업 오늘 완전 꽉 찼는데 빨리
네.
저 이거 끝날 때까지 애들 밥 사줘야 돼요. 수업을 땡기느라고. 원래 4시에 끝나거든요, 수업이. 그래서 1시간을 위로 땡기되 제가 점심을 사주는 조건으로 12명을 매주 김밥을 사줘야 됩니다. 컵라면하고.
대단한 열정이시면 저는 오늘 그 어디냐 연천에 수업하고 평택까지 달려서 왔더니 3시더라고요.
와, 안 어지러우세요?
그래서 지금 힘들어서
맞아.
이제 25분 남았네요. 그래도
다행이다.
너무 강행군입니다. 이거 영어로 들으니까 2배로 피곤한 것 같습니다.
맞아, 집중해야 되니까.
이제 저 방금 하는 건 뭐 하라는데 뭐 자꾸 시키는 게 많아서
맞아요.
그냥 뒀습니다. 다음 주 1일, 8일, 15일, 22일. 와, 29일, 6일. 근데 생각보다
빨리 끝날 것 같아요?
그냥 11월 달만 어찌어찌 버티면
맞아요. 금방 12월 되니까.
3, 4, 네, 12월은 한 번만 하니까 괜찮은 것 같습니다.
네, 대충 하라는 대로 조금 해보긴 끄적끄적 해봤습니다.
한 분도 안 하셨군요. 아이디어 1, 아이디어 2. 저도 뭐 들었다라고 해야 되니까 생각해봤는데 근데 어떤 걸 생각하셨을까요?
저는 문제점.
문제점이요?
저는 문제점. 우리 학교는 지금 인터넷도 이제 복도 쪽에는 와이파이가 좀 되는데 교실로 들어가면 와이파이가 잘 안 터져요. 그래서 오늘도 보니까 문을 닫으니까 애들이 와이파이 안 들어와요. 교수님 문 열어주세요. 문을 열고 수업을 해야 되는 불편함?
기술을 투자하는 게 사실은 진짜 쉽지 않은 것 같습니다.
맞아요. 돈이 너무 많이 든다 하더라고요. 인터넷을 각 교실까지 다 넣으려면 몇 억이 들어야 되니까 이제 점차 조금씩 확장을 해야 된다고, 한꺼번에 다 못한다고. 근데 이제 방송 영상과나 인터넷이 꼭 필요한 과들은 또 빨리빨리 해주면서 정말 미래 교육 하면서도 그런 게 너무 협조적으로 안 되고.
정부 차원에서 뭘 해야 됩니다. 제가 봤을 때 그린 스마트 학교 이런 거 할 때 인테리어 하지 말고 이런 거는 해주면 좋겠어요.
맞아.
보기만 좋게 만들지 와이파이 안 돼서 한방 못 들어가고 막 그러면 그게 무슨 미래 학교.
노 인테리어.
네.
All right, if you can hear me, come on back over to this window. You're going to be going back to your pairs again.
조금 이따 봬요.
So if you want to leave that when other meet open, you can. But I'll give you about 30 seconds to just let me know if you are back here in the main room. I see a lot of people dropping in the chat you're back. That's great. All right. Okay, so this part of the process is also can be challenging, right? So first you have to really work hard to understand the needs of your users. And now you have to go through this sometimes uncomfortable process of putting your ideas out there. I'd love to know in the chat, how did that feel to really quickly come up with an idea and then have to share it with someone else right away when it's not fully thought out? So in one word, if you could describe how that felt, I'd love to hear that in the chat there. I see some people felt excited about it. It was cool to see the excitement on your faces. Some people were rough, awesome experience, motivated, intense, hilarious. Nice, I love it. Crazy, exciting, amazing. What great adjectives coming through in the chat there. That's awesome. For me, it was fun to watch because I can see those of you that have left both meets open. I can see you talking to each other and seeing the excitement on your face as you start talking about ideas is like just a really energizing thing, even in the middle of the night here in Toronto. I feel super excited just watching you come up with ideas. It can be quite challenging though as well to actually think quickly and make decisions quickly. One of the benefits of going through the academy over the course of 8 weeks is you're going to have time each week to go away and think about things, but we're still going to be asking you to make decisions quite quickly on your project, where we're going to say, you need to decide in the next 5 days how you're going to move forward. And sometimes that can feel uncomfortable and that can feel challenging. But know that the academy is just the beginning of the process. And the goal is to fail fast. So to put your ideas out there, get feedback on them, and if they're not going to work, then throw that idea away and move on to another idea and be okay with that ambiguity and that uncertainty. So I encourage you to embrace that as we go through the next 8 weeks. Is the more ideas you can share and the more quickly you can get feedback on it, the better. So what we're going to do now is to move into prototyping. And so we're actually going to have you prototype part of this solution for your user's problem. So being prototype driven is a really important part of this process. As I mentioned already, failing fast or coming up with ideas that don't work and getting rid of those ideas quickly is a really important part of the process. And prototyping is really an extension of understanding the needs of your user, because the goal of a prototype is to create something that you can share with your user and get feedback on really quickly so that you can learn more about what's going to work for them and what's not going to work for them. So it's really just an extension of empathy, of understanding the needs of your user. A prototype is not a final product. It's very different. It's meant for you to share and for you to get feedback on and to break, essentially. And so what we're going to do now is you're going to actually create a prototype with your partner of that final solution that you came up with in your last breakout. So you're going to go into this breakout and you're going to have 5 minutes to make a prototype. Your prototype is meant to be super quick. In this case, we've asked you to use technology for the solution. So we're going to ask you to prototype some kind of technology. And we're going to do that by thinking about the essential screens. So imagine that this is an app or a website. What are the 4 main features of your solution? And how can you explain those really quickly? And so you'll find in your workbook, there's a place for you to do that. And our users are then going to provide feedback on those ideas. So the users are going to say what they like and what they don't like about it. Now you've only got 5 minutes for this, so they're not going to be beautiful. And that's the whole point, right? Like here's my example of a prototype. It was literally like screenshotting a couple of things. And the key part here is not the images, but the description of what's happening in my solution. So what are the 4 main steps of my solution that I've created here? So in my case, they're going to log into Google Calendar and they're going to connect it to this new app that I've just invented that I call Thoughtful. You can make up a name for your solution if you want. That's kind of fun. And then the user's going to select their friends and they're going to write personalized notes and then things will be delivered automatically. So that's sort of my example solution there. You're going to do the same thing for your solution. And again, you've only got about 5 minutes to create this prototype. Then what you're going to do is after you've built your prototype, you're going to share it with your user and get feedback from them. So in the same breakout, you're going to have 5 minutes to prototype, and then what you're going to have is 3 minutes to test your ideas. So once you've built it, you're then going to try to point out all the ways that it could be better. So you're going to get the users to give you feedback. You're kind of going to be working together here. Really, you're going to co-design this. You don't have the users. You can jump in and help to create these essential screens and help to build the prototype and be giving feedback as you go. But essentially, you've got 8 minutes to come up with a prototype and give feedback in the next 8 minutes. So you're going to go back into those breakout rooms. You've got 5 minutes. It says 3 on the screen, but I'm going to give you 5. So you've got 5 minutes to build a prototype and 3 minutes to give feedback and make changes to your prototype. All right, so your 8 minutes will start right now. I'll put on my timer here. Coming up with a prototype for your solution.
네. 이제 프로토타입을 만드는 시간이군요.
네, 자꾸 뭘 하래요.
메타버스 월드를 위한 뭘 해야 될까요?
그니까요.
프로토타입이라는 게 사실 이 문제는 저희가 해결 불가한 문제인데.
맞아. 그 예전에 보면 구글에서 요거 저렴하게 어떤 VR
카드보드 말씀하시는 거예요?
카드보드, 예.
네네네.
요걸로 뭐 체험 정도?
그쵸. 예.
예, 그냥 각자 모바일로 VR 체험? 뭐 오큘러스처럼 뭐 신나는 건 아니지만
맞습니다.
예, 일단 핸드폰 끼워 넣어가지고 이거 그 안 만들어져 있는 것도 저렴하게 팔더라고요. 이제 조립해서 만들어 보라고.
네네네.
그거 사다 놓고 아직 아무것도 못 해봤거든요. 근데 이것도 종류가 있어가지고
네.
이게 뭐 이렇게 클릭 할 수 있게 이거는 되어 있거든요.
네.
그게 있고 또 안 되는 게 있고 뭐 종류가 또 틀리더라고요. 그거에 따라서 가격이 조금씩 틀리고. 저는 이제 프로토타입을 만든다기보다는 솔루션으로 학생들에게 수없이 불편한 거를 설문조사를 해서 학교에다가 건의를 해본다 라고 써보긴 했거든요.
근데 진짜 이거는 환경적인 문제라서
맞아.
솔루션으로 가자면 뭔가 사업을 나눠야 될 것 같은데. 그러니까 뭐 연구 같은 걸 한다 해서 환경적으로 사실 지금 저희 우석 때 진짜 문제가
네.
그 SPSS나 이런 통계 프로그램을 원래는 이렇게 저희가 거의 할인받기 전이 480이거든요. 할인 받아도 이제 300 내고 그런데 320, 330 막 이런데, 근데 이런 그 수업 시간에 쓰는 프로그램을 이제 학교의 컴퓨터에만 깔려 있어요. 이게 문제가 대학원생들은 주말에만 오잖아요. 토일만.
어떻게 하라는 거지?
각자 이제 구매를 하는 거예요. 학생 할인을 받아서. 그래서 저희 과 그 제일 큰 불만이 그거예요.
학생 할인을 받아도 3,400을 한다고요?
아니요. 그러니까 학생 할인 받으면 싸긴 한데 인당 그러니까 프로그램이 인당 한 1년에 20 정도는 내야 되거든요. 그 프로그램 쓰려면. 근데 그게 사실은 이제 등록금에 포함되어서 되어야 되는데 이게 건의를 해도
실습비니까.
그러니까 어쨌든 주말에 대학원생들은 오고 주간에 학교 컴퓨터 쓸 수가 없잖아요.
그렇죠.
근데 그 프로그램은 학교 컴퓨터에만 깔려 있고, 그래서 그거를 이제 요청을 드리려 하는데 그 사람들이 이제 주말에 출근을 안 해요. 그래서
불편한 현실이다 진짜.
우석 때가 이제 대학원생들로 열심히 하고 있어서 이게 요새는 다 취업 때문에 말들이 많더라고요. 힘든 것 같아요. 제가 이번에 진천에 있는 우석대도 다녀왔었거든요. 시험 친다고.
거기 시설이 별로라고 하던데 고등학교 같이 생겨가지고.
되게 정확하시게 아시네요.
네, 그래서 오히려 거기로 이동하신 교수님들이 수업을 못하고 있어서 나가야 되는 분위기래요.
제가 갔는데 행정실이 제일 좋고
어머.
강의실은 이제 제가 보니까 조금 시험을 쳤는데 좀 한 90, 그가 건물이 새 건데 많이 낡았더라고요. 좁고.
건물이 새 건데 낡았다는 게 이해가 안 되는데.
그러니까 그 집기류라 해야 되나? 이런 게 다 약간 중고를 산 느낌이야. 이런 책상이나 이런 것들이
아니면은 저쪽에서 가져왔나?
네, 그런 거 같기도 하고. 그리고 이제 건물 자체가 이제 세 동이 달아서 좀 깜짝 놀란 게 금요일에 제가 시험을 치러 갔거든요.
네.
4시에 도착을 했는데 자꾸 또 뭐 시험을 치라 해가지고 이거 뭐 돈을 내라고 하는지 그 영어 시험을 치러 갔는데 이제 뭐지? 사람이 없어요. 학생들이. 예. 금요일 오후라 그런지 수업을 안 잡으시는지.
학생
그래서
없다 하더라고요.
예.
거기가
그래서
또 위치가 시내권이 아니고 외곽에
예.
있다면서요. 그래서 학생 모집도 안 되고.
그래서 진짜 조금 위기가
예.
심각하구나라는 건 좀 많이 느꼈는 게 이제 조교 선생님이 계시면 한 4명이 아니 그러니까 한 명이 4개 과를 담당하세요. 그래서 막 왔는데 무슨 과냐고 물어보시길래 아니 여기는 뭐 혼자서 여러 개를 하세요.
인건비 줄여야 되니까요.
네, 그래서 거의 대학원생들로 하시는데 힘드시겠더라고요. 특히 여기 완주잖아요.
네.
전주랑 완주랑 차이가 컸어.
근데 완주가 돈은 더 많대요.
아, 완주군에서 뭐 자꾸 뭐 하긴 하던데.
맞아요. 전주랑 완주랑 합치려고 하는데 오히려 완주가 돈이 많아가지고 반대해서 예, 합치질 못하고 전주가 더 이렇게 커질 수 있는데도 광역시가 되어야 되는데 완주 때문에 확장이 못 된다고 하더라고요.
완주가 엄청 큰데 여기 저 삼내 쪽도 완주고 저 밑에 상관 거기도 완주잖아요.
네.
또 주말에 수업 마치고 거기 갔다 왔거든요.
네.
부배 카페인가? 혹시 아세요?
거기 그 근처에 카페 많죠.
그 한옥 있는데 무슨 고택 있는데.
고택. 맞아.
네.
거기 좋아요. 그
거기에
BTS
이제
누가 자고 갔다고 그래갖고 더 유명해졌는데.
그 하트 시그널 나왔던 오영주 아세요? 그 친구가 이제 웹 예능에서 왔다 가서 끝나 40분 남았네요. 이야기하다 보니.
예, 벚꽃 필 때 그쪽에서 밥 먹고 차 마시고 거기 또 카페가 전시장 같이 생긴 데
맞아요.
있거든. 예.
네, 봤어요. 근데
예.
제가 봤을 때 방송직 나오더라고요. 아예 4일 동안 출입을
못
전시 쪽은
하겠어요?
못 하겠습니다.
그렇구나.
그래서 거기서 이제 저희 대학원생들 막 그 닭도리탕 먹고 막
맞아요. 그런 거 파는데요.
야외에서
맞아요. 거기서 드셨나? 그 강물 아니 그 뭐야?
네, 맞아요.
거기서 드셨군. 거기 맛있어요. 맛집이에요. 막걸리도 맛있고 그 집 밤 막걸리 드셔봤어요?
맞아요.
진짜
골목 쪽에
맛있는데? 예.
네, 다 있잖아요. 이름이 이게 무슨 까치산장도 있고 무슨 것도 있고 한데 무슨
Come on back to the main
고택.
room if you are back. Just drop your
다시
questions in the chat there and let us know your time is up. I know that was again probably really fast, but again today is all about just going through the process really quickly. We will have much more time than this when it comes to your actual projects. But I'd love to know in the chat, how did you feel about breaking your ideas quickly? How did it feel to get feedback and to iterate together in a really fast manner like that? Were you happy with your ideas in the end? Or if anyone wants to drop your ideas into the chat, if you came up with a really great idea, that's awesome. I love it. People saying actually had pretty good ideas. It was great. You were happy with the prototype. Awesome. Sometimes it's really incredible to see how quickly we can come up with really great solutions. And one of the things that I love about the design thinking process is it really empowers people to see problems as opportunities for you to realize that even if you've got big problems, there's really great ways to solve them. I highly recommend doing this type of activity with your school if you're having challenges in your school, or with your students if they're experiencing problems. It's really empowering to just quickly ideate and come up with some ideas and try to solve those things. So speaking of people who solve things quickly, I have to give a shout out. If any of you noticed my timer here that's automatically counting down, I'm going to give a shout out here to a fellow innovator. So Clay Smith was an innovator in London 2019 or 2017, 2019. And 2019,
yeah.
And part of his innovator project was he wanted to build add-ons and extensions and write scripts to help teachers to do things more efficiently. And actually, I think that the timer actually came out of coming to the Innovator Academy and seeing Andy running around with an actual digital timer and constantly telling me that I was out of time to do things. And he said, there's a way we can just embed that in your slides. And so he created this awesome extension called Clay Code, or called Slides Timer is the name of the extension. And it's really, really simple to use. You just put it into your slide deck like this, like a countdown, a sort of a number, this little bit of code. And then when you hit present, it automatically counts down. So check out claycodes.org for more of his amazing add-ons. He actually is now a Googler. So he actually is now working for Google, helping them to build awesome projects like this. So check it out. Now, you've just gone through pretty much the entire design thinking process. You haven't quite launched yet. So the next thing for you to do would be to take these ideas and put them out in the world and start tracking how's it going and continue. You'll notice that the process then continues because you're never really done. Even after you launch your product, you're going to keep iterating on it, right? That's one of the things that keeps a company like Google as a leader and as an innovator is that they're constantly iterating on their products and thinking about how they can make it better. Just think about how much meat has changed over the past 2 years and all of the different features and how they've changed and iterated, right? It's a constant cycle of going back to who are my users, what are their needs, how can I continue to meet those needs? So this was really a super fast, world's fastest design sprint. We'd love to see what you created. So if you want to screenshot those prototype slides or drop your entire deck into the chat so you can see some of those ideas that you created, you can put those in the VIA 22 chat. And you can see some of those awesome ideas that you've created. So now we've gone through it really quickly on a fun challenge that didn't have a lot of weight to it. Now we're going to think about your projects. And we're going to go through this entire process now over the next 8 weeks with your projects. So rather than doing it all in 1 hour, we're going to have some time to go through and think about things. We're going to go a lot more in depth. And I'm going to give you some more tips and tricks and suggestions for how you can do each of these steps more effectively. So we're going to give you a lot of scaffolding. There's going to be a lot of protocols that you can use to really help you to go through this process in a more meaningful way together as a group and working on your own projects. So next week, we're going to talk all about empathy. So week 2 is going to be all about understanding the needs of our users and to help you to figure out ways that you can learn more about their current actions, their motivations, and their feelings. And so that's going to happen next week. So as we mentioned, this is a really important part of the design thinking process. And I see people dropping in the chat that empathy is a game changer. So I'm really glad to hear that this is already resonating with you. Because what we really want to be able to do is check our assumptions and develop an understanding of our users' needs and biases. And so next week, we're going to go through some strategies for interviewing your users. So the way this is going to work is in our session next week, we're going to give you some strategies and help you to write some user interview questions. And then between week 2 and week 3, we want you to actually go out and interview some real users that are impacted by the problem that you're trying to address. And again, that could be the problem that you applied to the academy with. It could be a new problem that you've come up with since then. You can change. That's pivoting at any point is totally fine. Or it could be one of those problems that Swan pitched at the beginning of our session today. Remember those 3 challenges that Google is presenting that you want to maybe switch and work on one of those challenges instead. So the problem that you come with, you're going to try to start to define that by understanding the needs of your users. So what you need to do now is start thinking about who are the people that are impacted by your problem. And maybe if you feel like it's going to be hard to get a hold of these people or to organize an interview with them, you might want to start reaching out to schedule a meeting with them for after our session next week. So sometime after next Tuesday, then you might want to set up a meeting with some of those users. And at this point, all you need to say is that you're working on your innovator project and you'd love to hear their point of view or get their expertise because really your users are the experts. We're going to give you the strategies for doing the outreach and having those conversations with them. One thing to think about, and this is I'm going to end with this like little food for thought, is you're thinking about your users. For example, if I was thinking about, I want to encourage more people to use technology. This is called the diffusion of innovation curve, which means that with any adoption of anything new, any new idea, any new technology, any new program or product, you're going to have your early adopters, right? Those are your innovators, the people that are ahead of the curve. Then you're going to have what I like to call the mushy middle, which is the majority of people. They're going to be a little bit slower to pick up new ideas, but maybe around the same time. And then at the end of this adoption curve, you're going to have the laggards, the people that are going to not want to try something new. As you're thinking about your users, I would strongly encourage you to think about the mushy middle. Sometimes we can be tempted to be like, I want to get that teacher who refuses to open their computer. I want to get them to use technology. But going after those people for your idea might limit what your solutions look like, and you might be missing a bigger opportunity to get more people to move forward, and eventually the laggards will catch up. So as you're thinking about who your users are, consider where they fall on this diffusion of innovation curve, and try to think about those users that are the mushy middle. Unless, you might be developing something that's specifically for early adopters, but I would discourage you from going after the laggards. That's my final advice as you're thinking about your users. So that is all from me this week. And Andy is very impressed with me that
I don't know what's happened here, but you brought this in bang on the exact time. For the first time in probably the last 20 academies, you finally finished on time. Well done.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for sharing. I know it's a lot to put yourself out there, so thanks everyone for sharing and joining me on this journey today.
And that's it for today's call. Thanks everyone for joining us. I'm going to stop the recording. As always, me and Les will stick around for a little bit to answer any quick questions. And Les wants to go to sleep at some point soon. And we'll put the recording and the resources up on the hub later on today or early tomorrow, depending on where you are in the world. And have a good evening, everybody. And we'll see you all next week.
I love seeing people are posting the screenshots of their apps in there too, in the chat. That's awesome. Ooh, some nice prototypes.
Yeah. Pickle analyzer, I've seen that. Someone doing time management for their mom.
The pickle analyzer. I could definitely use this.
Also, you take pictures, it tells you what to pickle.
Time management for a mom. I see there might be some $1 million ideas in here.
Yeah. You never know. I think someone's done thoughtful.com. Is that you, Les?
No.
Someone's over there. Yep, someone's over there. They've only got to sign up for them. They're doing MVP clearly. Testing the market for the idea.
Interesting. Thoughtful.com. Oh yeah, remember what's important. Someone already came up with the idea.
Well, this has been great, guys. Thank you so much.
No problem, Leslie.
Yeah, it's been great.
Thanks, Leslie.
So we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Okay then. Go and rest up, Les.
Thank you.
Yeah, go to bed, Les, because you've got to be up in time for EMEA.
I'll be up earlier than that. One of my children will wake me up earlier than that, I'm sure.
Okay then. All right then. Bye.
See you later, Leslie.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Les.
No problems. See you next week.
Thanks, bye.
Everybody, thank you. See you next week.
Bye-bye. See you next
Bye.
week.
네, 고생들 많이 하셨습니다. 그래서 아마 지금 오늘 시간이 모자랐을 거예요. 아마 거의 대부분 분들이 절대적으로 일부러 그렇게 모자라게 하십니다. 그렇기 때문에 예, 끝나고 나서 연습을 또 해보라고 하니까 걱정 안 하시고 이제 저희 연습해 보시고요. 그 다음에 이제 조별로 모였을 때에 한 번 더 저기 코치 이현준 코치님도 나눠주실 거고 저도 또 저희 그룹에서 나눌 겁니다. 하여튼 네, 이렇게 시작이 됐습니다. 네, 네, 이렇게 시작됐어요. 예. 어떠셨나요 오늘? 퇴근도 못 하시고 대부분.
너무 재밌었어요.
재밌으셨어요?
저 외국인한테 까이고 정준 이노베이터님이랑 있었어요. 완전 저는 복 받았어요. 저 아까 그 외국인한테 까였어요. 또 까였어요.
네. 하여튼 뭐 저기 그 다음 주에도 하실 때는 그래서 나는 이제 그 짝이 모르겠다 그럼 왼쪽에다가 이름 만들어 놓고 밑에다가 만들어 놓고 기다리시면 돼요. 네. 고생하셨습니다. 그래서 이런 식으로 이제 8주간 하면 되고요. 네. 네. 공식적으로는 일단은 여러분들은 이제 이노베이터 후보세요. 네, 이노베이터 후보시지만 외부에서 물어보면 이제 구글 이노베이터다라고 조심조심 말씀하셔도 괜찮습니다. 그리고 그 조금 더 세게 말하면은 이제 8주간 마치고 나서 이제 그 다음에 진짜 이제 공식이에요. 네. 그래서 여러분 졸업장 그때 받으시거든요. 서티피켓 받으시고 그때부터는 확실하게 이제 자랑하시면 되고요. 이노베이터냐고 물어보시면 그러니까 지금 막 이노베이터 캠프 들어왔다라고 말씀하시면 되겠습니다.
지금
네네.
에이펙에 막 뭐가 올라오고 있잖아요. 아까 했던 거.
네네네.
액티비티. 우리도 이런 거를 꼭 필수로 제출해야 되는 건 아니지요.
아니, 필수는 아니지만은 이제 올려주시면 이제 다양성에 기여를 하실 수 있기 때문에 올려주시면 좋습니다.
아까 그 뭐 알람도 그렇게 해서 만들었다고 얘기하는 것 같더라고요.
그 알람은 아까 이제 프레젠테이션. 네.
네.
네, 거기에 이제 그 알람을 누군가가 만들어서 올렸다 이제 그 얘기를 하셨는데 이제 그 만드신 분이 뭐였는지는 잘 모르겠어요.
그
그분이
이노베이터 캠프 때
까먹었는데.
만들었다고 한 것 같아요. 아이디어를 내가지고. 예, 그쵸. 예.
그렇군요. 아무튼 하여튼 파이팅입니다. 이제 다들 빨리 퇴근들 하시고요.
아마 그 조별로 모이는 일보다는 앞으로는 브레이크아웃을 하면은 짝끼리 모이게 될 거예요. 아마 계속해서. 그 짝이 아마 끝까지 갈 겁니다. 지금 이제 2위로 짝이 졌는데 아마 이노베이터 그 캠프에서 짝을 아마 대충 지어줄 거예요. 저희도 누가 어떻게
다음 주에 인호님 아니에요?
아닐 수도 있어요.
네.
네,
지금 짝은 그냥 2위로 그냥 만든 짝이고 진짜로 뭔가 짝이 만들어져서 저도 이제 전유진 이노베이터님이랑 거의 끝까지 갔거든요. 처음 만난 저기에서 그런 식으로 뭔가 이걸 짝이 지어질 겁니다.
외국인들하고 섞진 않죠?
그런 식으로 최대한 한국인이랑 이제 할 거예요. 최대한. 그것 때문에 저희가 지금 이렇게 그룹으로 모였고, 그렇게 된 거거든요. 지금.
외국인만 아니면 돼요.
저는 이제 저기 코칭 아워 정해야 됩니다. 제가 이제 챗에다가 남겨드릴 테니까 짜고 저희 만날 준비하시죠.
네. 그 앤디 선생님은 항공사 직원처럼 말투도 이렇게 브리티시 발음에다가 막 무슨 그 비행기 소음이 막 계속 들려가지고.
이게 삐 소리 계속 나가지고 안 그래도 제가 코치방에다 얘기를 했거든요. 네, 확인 못하신 것 같아요.
그러시구나.
고생하셨습니다. 이제 막 집중하시느라고 이제 엄청 피곤하실 거예요. 이제 돌아가시는 길에.
저 궁금한 게 있는데요.
네네.
제 계정은 치메일이거든요. 그리고
네.
저랑 짝이었던 선생님은 지미정 선생님은 지수이 계정이었어요.
네네.
순간 말때 구글 미트방에 들어올 수 없었거든요.
맞아요. 그런 경우에는 그러니까 지스위트 계정에서만 초청이 가능한데 그것도 해당 지스위트 계정의 그 워크스페이스 계정이 외부 계정을 들어올 수 있도록 설정이 된 상태에서만 부를 수가 있습니다.
그냥 일반 계정.
네, 그럴 때는 일반 계정으로 서로 하시면은 좀 편하세요.
네. 다음 주 미션은 알 수 없는 거죠?
이제 코칭 세션 때 대충 이제 저기 알려드릴 거고 미리 하지 말라라는 얘기를 오히려 하고 있습니다. 다음 주에 인터뷰 할 거예요. 인터뷰 관련돼서 얘기할 건데 미리 인터뷰하지 말라라고 전화를 했어. 미리 하지 마세요. 좋으실 때.
그러면 상대방하고 인터뷰하는 거예요? 짝지은 사람하고?
아니 진짜로 사용자를 찾으셔야 돼요. 근데 그 얘기는 이제
다음에 앤디가 지금 이노베이터 프로그램 진행하는 앤디 커플이 앤드류 커플이 그분이 앤디입니다. 제가 줄여서
남자분이요?
앤디라고. 네네.
아,
네, 그 호주분이시고, 네.
아, 네.
좋습니다. 자, 이제 빨리빨리 이제
쭉
쉬세요. 쉬시면
고생하셨습니다.
됩니다. 네, 고생하셨습니다.
감사합니다.
네, 들어가세요.
네, 고생하셨습니다. 네.
나로야 갔어?